Hello children, so today we'll be starting our sixth chapter, that is decimals. So before starting the chapter, I want to know from you that what is decimal, children? You all know what is decimal. So let's recapitulate it. So you know all about whole numbers. The numbers like 4, 76 or 532, these are all whole numbers. So in 532 children, there are, you can say, 2 ones, 3 tens, as well as 5 hundreds. All of you know about these concepts. But children, what about a number like 532.19? So this is a decimal. So a decimal is just a number that has a decimal point. Do you see the decimal point in 532.19? Yes, all can see. So it's the period in the middle of the number. The numbers to the left of the decimal point represent ones, tens and hundreds as before. The number to the right of the decimal point are tens and hundreds. So the tenth and hundreds are parts of 1. If you divide 1 into 10 equal parts, each one is a tenth, or you can say it is 1 by 10th. So if you divide 1 into 100 equal parts, each one is 100 and so on. Same with if you divide 1 into 1000 parts, then you can tell it is thousandth. So children, what does 532.19 represents? So you can see here. Okay. So as before, we have 5 hundreds, 3 tens and 2 ones. But now we have some new digits like 1/10th and 900th. We can represent it in a number line like 532.19 comes in between 532.10 and 532.20. You can see here. So you can read the number as 532 and 1900. So let's see what is a decimal place value chart and how it looks like. So here on the screen you can see a decimal place value chart. The first place after the decimal point, this is the decimal point children, the first place after the decimal point is called the 10th place. Is called the 10th place. And this decimal place we get by dividing the number by 10. Then next is your children, the second place after the decimal point is called the 100th place. Is called the 100th place. This one is the 100th place, and this place we get by dividing the number by 100. The third place after the decimal point is called the 1000th place. Okay children, the third place which we get after dividing the number with 1000th is called the 1000th place. Next, the fourth place after the decimal point is called the 10,000th place. All have to remember the places in a decimal place value chart. These are the 4 places after the decimal point. So let's see one example of a decimal number. Here you can see it is written 786.432. Yes or no children? It's written 786.432. So you can see 4 is in 10th place, 3 is in 100th place and 2 is in the 1000th place. So children, let's see what is equivalent decimals. Let's see one example. Let us consider 0.7, 0.70 and 0.700. Let's write children all these decimals in fractions. So 0.7 we can write it as 7 upon 10, 0.70 as 70 upon 100 and 0.700 as 700 upon 1000. So the 7 upon 10 will remain as it is, children, but 70 upon 100 and 700 upon 1000 we can reduce it. We can reduce it to its lowest form and we can write it as 7 upon 10. Thus, we got 7 upon 10 is same as 70 upon 100 and is equal to 700 upon 1000. So thus we can tell that 0.7 is equal to 0.70, which is equal to 0.700. So 0.7, 0.70 and 0.700 are equivalent decimals. When we write zeros after the last decimal digit, the value of the decimal number does not change. All have to remember this, children. When we insert zeros after the last decimal digit, the value of the decimal number does not changes. Now, children, let's move on to like and unlike decimals. So what do you mean by like decimals, children? The decimals having the same number of decimal places are called like decimals. For example, 4.1, 45.9 and 532.7 are all like decimals, as after decimal point they are having only one place. Next is your children, unlike decimals. The decimals that do not have same number of decimal places are called unlike decimals. For example, 4.1, 12.34 and 6.345. You can see after decimal point, 4.1 is having one place, 12.34 is having two places after decimal, and 6.345 is having three places after decimals. So these are all unlike decimals. Now let's see how to convert unlike decimals to like decimals. Example, children, it's given 4.1, 12.34 and 6.345. So the first step is find the number with maximum number of decimal places. So which is the number with maximum number of decimal places? Yes, it's 6.345. It's having three places after decimal. You can see 6.345 is having three places after the decimal. So what to do, children? The next step is step number 2. Adding zeros on the extreme right side of the decimal part of the decimals. Okay, so let's write or add zeros on the extreme right side of the decimal part of the decimals. Like 4.1, I can write it as 4.100. 12.34, I can write it as 12.340. Then 6.345, I can write it as 6.345 itself. So thus, the like decimals are 4.100, 12.340 and 6.345. You can see after the decimal point, all the numbers are having three places. Next, dear children, comparing and ordering decimal numbers, we have example, arrange 723.471, 846.201 and 699.8 in the ascending order and descending order. So what is the step number 1? Convert unlike decimals into like decimals. So what is the first step? The maximum number of decimal places is 3, children. So we will write all the decimals with 3 decimal places. So 723.471 and 846.201 will remain as it is, and 699.8 we will convert to 699.800. So next step is, your children, compare the integral parts of the decimal numbers. Then we will compare the integral parts. So what are the integral part, children? It's 723, 846 and 699. The numbers which are coming before the decimal points are called integral parts. So 846 is greater than 723, which is in turn 723 is greater than 699. Then, so ascending order will be, children, yes, it's 699.8, then 723.471, and at last is your 846.201. According to descending order, it will be 846.201, then 723.471, at last will be your 699.8. I hope all have understood how to order decimal numbers.